Well, good evening. We have lesson 5-7, and this is another one of those lessons that isn't going to have anything terribly new. Once again, we're going to revisit solving equations, and this time we're going to solve equations by adding and subtracting fractions, and also mixed numbers as well. This you might not be able to read this, but we are featuring Henry Beck. Now, Henry Beck is actually not going to be in the recording today, but he helped me set up the problems and decide what we were going to talk about, and then he had to run out of here to go to class. So he's kind of a guest, a ghost guest tonight. So you might want to remember that for your daily quiz. All right, so this is what we're talking about, these kind of problems today. So here's an example. That could be H or N. I think it was supposed to be N. I'll go ahead and fix that. N minus 3/4 equals negative 5/8. And so what we're going to do is we're going to combine elements of the three commandments, the integer work that we did way back at the beginning of the year, adding and subtracting fractions that we just went over, and then also how to solve equations. So let's do this one step at a time, and let's start with the solving equations part because it's actually the easiest part. How do we solve minus 3/4? Well, we're going to add 3/4 because it's the opposite, and if we add it to one side, we also have to add it to the other side. Now, before I write 3/4 in there, we can cheat just a little bit. I am okay with you changing 3/4. That's the same thing as adding 6/8. And the benefit of doing this step now is we already have the common denominator, which we're going to need. Okay, 3/4 and 6/8 is adding the same thing, really, to both sides. So over here, we will get n. And on the right, we get 6/8 minus 5/8, which sure enough does equal 1/8. And while I am writing this fraction diagonally, I don't like this notation, and you probably have seen in class why I don't. This fraction right here, is that 1 1/2 or is it 11/2? Well, with a diagonal fraction bar, there's a lot of room for things to be unclear. So a much better way to write that is write it as 1/8. And that was something I wanted to stress today because I have seen that kind of cropping up. All right, the second question, what do we do to both sides to get rid of minus a 1 3/5? This one, again, is going to be an add. This time it's a mixed number, so let's add 1 3/5 to both sides. Oops, I don't know what I was doing there. 1 3/5. So over here we'll add 1 3/5. Okay, and let's go ahead and cancel these out. And over on the left side I get P. Okay, so that's all done. Hold on a second. All right, now for the mixed numbers, we're going to have to do a little bit more work here, okay? And so what I'm going to do, I think we don't really have a lot of room here. Oops. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide this problem down and out of the way just a little bit, just so I have a little bit of room over here on the right, okay? All right, now, over here on the right, we do need to get common denominators just like before. So common denominator between 4 and 5, the least common denominator is going to be 20. So I'm going to write both of these fractions as something over 20, and I'm going to keep the mixed number around. So it's going to be 2 and something 20ths and 1 and something 20ths. And very quickly, 4 goes into 20 on the top 5 times, so that's going to be a 5. 5 goes into 20 4 times, so this is going to be 3 times 4, which is 12. Sorry, my stylus is not working great. And again, we're adding these. So P comes out to be 3, and that was actually 17 20ths. And that one doesn't reduce, so that's actually the final answer. Okay? So as you can see, all we're doing in both of these problems is combining what we know about adding and subtracting fractions with what we already know about solving equations. So think of this lesson as really a review to put some of these different skills together and be able to solve a little bit harder problems that we've been talking about all year that were on their way. All right, let's move ahead. Okay, some of these get a little harder. This one we're adding, so now we're going to subtract on this one. We're going to subtract 1 1/3 from both sides. And again, let's cheat a little bit here. Since I need to get a common denominator, let's go ahead and change it right now into something over 18. It'll be 6 over 18. This one's not too bad because when we subtract, we get z on the right, and on the left, we're going to get 2 1/18. Okay, and again, combining those old skills. Now, this next one's going to be a little trickier. Okay, the algebra part's pretty straightforward. Subtract 2 1/6 from both sides. That's where the easy part's going to be done. We put the line underneath. Sure enough, we get a little fruit ninja over here on the right, and we get B equals. All right, now, here on the left, we've got some problems. Okay, first of all, we have a bigger thing being subtracted from a positive thing. Okay, so right away, we're going to get a negative answer. We have to do the 3 commandments, so we are going to have to reverse the problem upside down. So we're going to put the 2 and 1/6 on the top and the 1 3/8 on the bottom just to find the difference. Okay. In addition, we have to get a common denominator, so let's put a little equals for each of these. So the top is going to be 2. Let's see, the common denominator is going to be 24 for 6 and 8. That's the least common denominator anymore. So the top, we're going to get 2 and 4/24, and we're going to be subtracting 1 and something 24ths, and again, 8 goes into 24 3 times, so it's 9/24. All right, now we got another problem. All right, we can subtract the whole. Obviously, we have more on the top than the bottom, so we are going to get a difference here. Okay, ultimately, that difference is going to end up being negative. In fact, I really ought to take this original b that I started with, and already I know my answer is going to be a negative something. Okay, coming back to this purple part of the problem. Okay, I can't take 9/24 away from 4/24. And the most common mistake people make when they're dealing with mixed numbers is they accidentally subtract going up. So they'll say the answer here, they'll do the 2 minus 1 in the right direction and get 1, but then they'll go the opposite direction and say 9 minus 4 is 5. Well, you can't do that. What you have to do instead is you have to borrow. So we're going to borrow 1 whole unit from this 2 up here. And when I break it up, I'm going to break it into 24ths because that's the fraction that we're dealing with. I already had 4 24ths, so if I break a whole unit into 24ths, I have 24 new pieces. It gives me a total of 28. All right. Now I can go ahead and find the difference. 1 28ths minus 1 and 28 24ths minus 1 and 9 24ths. Well, the 1's cancel out. 28 minus 9 leaves me with 19 24ths. That is the difference. So I'm going to bring that over here. And don't forget that we were actually taking a bigger number away from a smaller number. So we did find the difference. That was the second commandment. And then keep the sign of the larger value, which in this case was the negative. So by already writing that negative sign right there, and we won't forget it at the end of the problem. Okay, so that one, again, wasn't involving anything new. It was the old integer rules of the 3 commandments. Thou shalt not subtract. Same sign, find the sum. Different sign, find the difference. And keep the sign of the larger value. So we applied those. We applied the idea of borrowing, which is an idea that we've had for a long time, and we used it with mixed numbers in this case. We applied the idea of finding common denominators, and we applied what it takes to solve an equation. So putting all 4 of those things together successfully without making any mistakes is what this unit is really all about. Okay? All right, well, we had another actually ghost guest teacher, so let me just go ahead to the end. And so actually Will Medley also stuck his head in and helped with the prep for this lesson. And so while the 2 of them weren't here to do the recording with me, I do want to give them credit for helping out. And they, before they left, they wanted to say thanks for watching our video. And as always, if you want to be in video, catch me at break, and you will be the next star in one of our math videos. So thanks for watching. Tomorrow in class, be ready to practice solving equations with both fractions and mixed numbers. All right, we'll see you all tomorrow.